Hi, I'm Mike Brandl from the University of Texas at Austin. Over the last week or so, we've seen a lot of disruption in financial markets. We hear stories about bank failures and also Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. But if we dig a little bit further, the story gets, in many ways, even more interesting. Take, for example, what's happening with bank failures. There's some estimates that this year there may be as many as 300 banks in the U.S. will fail. By comparison, between 2004 and 2006, we had 10 quarters where no banks failed. So a failure of 300 banks in the space of 1 year is a pretty significant change. But that may not be all bad news. In fact, it may be a sign that the FDIC is doing what it should do. That when banks get themselves into financial trouble, instead of allowing these banks to continue to limp on like we did in the 1980s and 90s, no, instead they consolidate them and close them down. So ultimately, the bank failures may ultimately be a good thing. The other major story we're seeing is, of course, what's happening with Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. These government-sponsored entities are really taking a beating in the equity market, and there's all sorts of talk about what needs to be done to inject liquidity to keep these things limping along. A more interesting question, though, that really needs to be asked is, what are going to be the future of these two big, huge entities? They play a major role in mortgage markets, but many economists have long questioned whether they're really needed or not. Remember back in 2004 and 2005, then Federal Reserve Chairman Alan Greenspan warned that financial markets were really misunderstanding the risks that Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac actually held. And now it looks that those risks are coming to fruition. Perhaps Greenspan was right. So once this liquidity crisis gets fixed, maybe we need to really stop and think more deeply about what our mortgage markets and what really our financial markets should look like in the future. Will Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac really continue to exist? Only time will tell. Those are the things to think about when you hear all the news in the business press about what's going on in financial markets. Until next time, I'm Mike Brandl from the University of Texas at Austin.